The mining vessel Prospector shuddered as Lieutenant Commander Kira Chen guided it through the asteroid field at the edge of Kuiper Belt. Standard procedure for the Earth Resource Commission. Find valuable metals, tag them for the harvester ships, return home. Boring but necessary work that kept Earth's growing technological demand satisfied. Anomalous reading at bearing 047. Commander, Ensign Rodriguez reported, his voice betraying unusual tension. Mass doesn't match any registered asteroid. Probably another nickel-iron composite. Chen replied without looking up from her console. Tag it and move on. This is different, ma'am. It's moving. Chen's head snapped up just as emergency alarms blared across the bridge. A massive shadow passed over the viewport, sleek, obsidian, and unmistakably artificial. The object was easily 5 times the size of their vessel, its surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. All stop. Comms, hail unknown vessel on all frequencies. Chen ordered, her military training overriding the mission protocols. Before the communications officer could comply, 3 smaller craft detached from the larger ship. Escort vessels moving to intercept. The tactical officer shouted. Chen grabbed the ship-wide comm. All hands, battle stations. This is not a drill. The Prospector wasn't a warship, but ERC regulations required minimal defensive capabilities for deep space operations. Not that it mattered. The first escort ship fired a single pulse of energy that cut through their shields like they didn't exist. Direct hit. Engines offline. Life support failing on decks 3 through 7. Chen watched in horror as the second escort methodically targeted their weapon systems. Not random destruction. Surgical precision. They're toying with us, she whispered, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. The third escort approached the Prospector's science vessel, which had been following at a safe distance. A different weapon fired. Not energy this time, but a rippling distortion that seemed to fold space itself. The science vessel simply ceased to exist, not destroyed but erased, along with its crew of 27 researchers. Evacuate. All personnel to escape shuttles. Now. Chen ordered as secondary explosions rocked the ship. Rodriguez grabbed her arm. The shuttles are gone, Commander. They targeted the bay first. Chen stared at him, mind racing. The mining pods. Deck 14. They have independent life support. They're not FTL capable, Rodriguez argued. We don't need FTL if we're dead. Chen snapped, dragging the young officer toward the emergency shaft. Only 3 other crew members made it to Deck 14. Chen sealed them in a mining pod as the ship broke apart around them. Through the viewport, she watched the escort ships systematically destroying every piece of the Prospector, ensuring nothing substantial remained. Why aren't they targeting us? Whispered Medical Officer Takashi, clutching a data core she'd salvaged from the labs. They don't consider us a threat, Chen replied, activating the pod's stealth protocols, designed to hide from asteroid field radiation, not advanced weapons, or they can't detect us. As the pod drifted away from the debris field, Chen made 2 decisions that would alter the course of human history. She activated the emergency beacon that would bring help and attention to what had happened here, and she ordered Takashi to share the contents of that data core. The screen filled with readings taken seconds before their ship was attacked. Quantum signatures unlike anything in Earth's scientific records, and a partial transmission intercept in an unknown language. Only later would they learn it translated to preliminary cleansing initiated. Primary target coordinates confirmed. 3 weeks after the Prospector incident, Earth launched everything. Every operational warship, fighter squadron, and orbital weapons platform focused their firepower on the approaching Void Advance Fleet. The combined might of humanity's military forces, weapons that had kept an uneasy peace between nations for decades, amounted to little more than a minor inconvenience for the alien armada. Commander Kira Chen watched the battle unfold from the Situation Room beneath Geneva. The holographic display showed Earth forces as blue dots, Void vessels as red. The blue dots were disappearing at an alarming rate. 78% of our space-based assets have been neutralized, announced General Winters, his voice mechanical, divorced from the horror those numbers represented. Remaining forces are falling back to lunar defensive positions. No one mentioned the obvious. Once lunar defenses fell, Earth would be defenseless. The blast doors slid open. Director Marcus Santos entered, followed by 2 security officers escorting a handcuffed woman in a prison jumpsuit. "This is a restricted area, Director," snapped General Winters. Santos ignored him, approaching Chen instead. "Commander Chen, effective immediately. You're being reassigned to Project Lazarus." "I don't know what that is," Chen replied. "Humanity's last option," Santos said simply, then gestured to the prisoner. "And she's your new second-in-command." The woman looked up, her eyes cold as Arctic ice. "Major Nadia Volkov, former Spetsnaz. Pleasure." "The war criminal." Chen stared in disbelief. "She killed her own unit." "I did what was necessary when command sent us into an impossible situation," Volkov replied without emotion. "Just like you're about to do." Before Chen could respond, the Situation Room erupted in chaos. The holographic display showed lunar defenses collapsing in minutes rather than the projected hours. Winters began shouting orders, but his voice was drowned out by proximity alarms. Santos grabbed Chen's arm. "We're out of time. Come with me now, or stay and die with the generals." The underground facility shook as something massive impacted the surface above. Chen made her decision. "Where are we going?" 12 levels down, Santos replied, leading them toward a restricted elevator. "To meet the rest of your team." The elevator descended deeper than Chen thought possible beneath Geneva. When the doors opened, they revealed a cavernous facility humming with activity. Scientists rushed between workstations. Military personnel loaded equipment onto transport vehicles. "Welcome to Project Lazarus," Santos announced, Earth's contingency plan for extinction-level events. A young Asian man with a shock of blue hair glanced up from a bank of computers and waved. "Jin Park, nice to finally meet you, Commander. Big fan of how you survived certain death. I've got your battle footage on loop." "He's 17, and the best hacker humanity has produced," Santos explained. "Was serving 3 consecutive life sentences until today." "What did he do?" Chen asked. "Crashed the global financial network," Park answered cheerfully. "Just to see if I could." A tall Middle Eastern man in a lab coat approached, dark circles under his eyes suggesting he hadn't slept in days. "Dr. Amir Rahman, my condolences on your promotion, Commander." Dr. Rahman's weapons research was deemed too extreme by the Ethics Committee, Santos explained. "They called it unconscionably destructive," Rahman corrected with a humorless smile. "They weren't wrong." Chen stared at Santos. "You've assembled a team of criminals and outcasts." "I've assembled the only people who might be able to think differently enough to matter," Santos replied. "Conventional tactics failed up there. We need unconventional solutions now." A deafening boom shook the facility, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. Lights flickered. "They've breached the surface complex," announced a security officer. Void infiltration units reported on multiple levels. "We're out of time," Santos said grimly. "Commander, your team is now active. Your mission is to ensure humanity's survival by any means necessary." He handed Chen a keycard. "This gives you complete authority over Project Lazarus resources." "What about you?" Chen asked. Santos drew his sidearm. "I'm going to buy you time." As Santos left to organize the defense, Chen turned to her unlikely team. A war criminal, a teenage cyber terrorist, and a weapons designer whose work had been banned by every major government. "All right," she said, "someone tell me what Project Lazarus actually is." Rahman gestured toward a massive hangar door. "It's not a what, Commander? It's a ship. The most advanced prototype Earth has ever built." The doors began to open, revealing a sleek vessel unlike anything Chen had seen before. "And it's our only chance of taking the fight to them," Volkov added, instead of dying here. The UNSS Daedalus slipped through the darkness of space, its experimental hull absorbing, rather than reflecting sensor waves. Commander Chen stood on the bridge, watching the main view screen as it displayed their target, the massive Void command vessel surrounded by its deadly escort fleet. "This is insanity," muttered Ambassador T. Larry, the hegemony representative who had been reluctantly integrated into their crew after his rescue from Antarctic ice. His pearl-gray skin seemed paler than usual. "My species has run 17 million simulations of direct assaults on Void command structures. Success probability, 0. Humans don't put much stock in probabilities," Chen replied, not taking her eyes off the screen. "Evidently," T. Larry said, "or you wouldn't have activated Ramen's Chaos Drive, despite my warnings." The Chaos Drive pulsed beneath them, a technology so dangerous its creator kept the blueprints only in his head. It didn't bend physics so much as exploit its inconsistencies, generating quantum fluctuations that, theoretically, made the Daedalus impossible to predict. "Park, status report," Chen called to the teenager hunched over the sensor station. "We're ghosts," Park replied with a grin. "Their scanning patterns are passing right through us. The Chaos Drive is working exactly as Ramen said it would." Ramen sat quietly at the engineering station, fingers dancing across controls as he balanced the drive's increasingly unstable output. "For now," he muttered, "the uncertainty field won't hold forever. The laws of physics get irritable when you break them." Volkov entered the bridge, already wearing the prototype exoskeleton designed for the boarding party. The mechanical frame amplified her movements while housing experimental weapons derived from Ramen's forbidden research. "Strike team is ready," she announced. 6 operators, all equipped. "We only get one shot at this." Chen nodded. "The plan remains unchanged. We approach under Chaos Drive cover. Magnetic grapples secure us to their hull near the command section. Volkov's team breaches, secures their central data core, then extracts. We detach and jump to emergency coordinates. The Void command vessel has 43,000 combat units aboard." T. Larry interjected. "Your strike team has 6 humans in experimental armor." 7, Chen corrected, standing. "I'm going to." Ramen looked up sharply. "Commander, that's not the plan. You're needed here to coordinate." "Plans change." Chen cut him off. "Something's been pulling me toward that ship since we detected it. I need to see what's inside." No one argued further. They'd all witnessed Chen's increasingly precise predictions about Void movements, insights she couldn't explain, but that had kept them alive so far. 20 minutes later, Chen stood with Volkov's team in the airlock. The Chaos Drive hummed beneath their feet, vibrations increasing as Ramen pushed it beyond safe parameters. "Approaching optimal breach point," Park's voice announced over comms. 30 seconds to contact." Chen looked at the strike team. 6 hardened special operators who'd volunteered for what was likely a suicide mission. None of them questioned her presence. They'd seen enough in the past week to know conventional thinking wouldn't save humanity. "Void vessel shields are fluctuating," Park reported. "Ramen's chaos field is causing localized failures. We have an opening." "Magnetic grapples. Firing," Ramen called. The Daedalus shuddered as 4 massive grapples shot out, punching through the momentary shield gap and embedding in the Void vessel's hull. "We're attached. Breach team, go." Chen activated her exoskeleton and followed Volkov through the airlock. They moved across the tethers connecting the ships, the void of space surrounding them. The Void vessel's hull loomed ahead, black, seamless, absorbing all light that touched it. Ramen's breaching charges detonated silently in space, creating a jagged hole in the hull. Atmosphere vented briefly before emergency containment fields activated within the Void ship. "We're in," Volkov reported as they entered the alien corridor. Chen stepped inside and froze. The architecture was strange, unsettling, but oddly familiar. The walls pulsed with circuitry that resembled neurons. and inscribed above a doorway, barely visible but unmistakable. Latin characters. "This is impossible," she whispered, reaching out to touch the human script etched into an alien vessel. Before she could translate the words, the first defenders arrived. They moved with mechanical precision, humanoid but wrong, like something wearing human skin stretched over machinery. When they spoke, Chen understood them perfectly. "Anomaly detected. Original strains present. Begin purification." The words triggered a crippling headache that dropped Chen to her knees. As Volkov's team engaged the defenders, Chen's vision doubled. For a moment, she saw herself standing among the Void forces, giving orders to destroy the boarding party. Volkov grabbed her arm. "Commander, stay with us." Chen blinked away the vision, but the connection lingered, a terrible understanding forming in her mind. "We need to reach that data core," she gasped. "Now I know why they seem to anticipate our every move." "Why?" Volkov asked, blasting another defender. Chen looked at the dead Void soldier, its faceplate shattered to reveal features that could have been human once, millennia ago. "Because they're us." "What do you mean, they're compromised?" Chen demanded, her voice echoing through the resistance bunker buried beneath the ruins of Sydney. Park's fingers flew across his makeshift terminal, projecting intercepted communications onto the cracked wall. "See these signal patterns. They match Void mural architecture perfectly. Military command was infiltrated months ago, maybe longer. 2 weeks had passed since their raid on the Void flagship. 2 weeks since Raman had sacrificed himself, manually detonating the Chaos drive to cover their escape after they downloaded a fraction of the Void's central database. Only Chen, Park, and 2 others had made it back to Earth, to find it falling rapidly under enemy control. "We knew they had infiltrators," Chen said, rubbing her temples. The headaches hadn't stopped since the raid, visions of Void operations flashing through her mind without warning. But the entire command structure. Director Santos emerged from the shadows, his left arm now a crude prosthetic fashioned from salvaged tech. "Not the entire structure. Just enough to neutralize our most effective resistance cells. They're being methodical. They're being efficient," Chen corrected. "That's how they think." Park finished his decryption, and data from the Void ship filled the display. "I've been piecing this together bit by bit. It's not what we thought." The others gathered around as Park navigated through the alien data architecture that was disturbingly similar to Earth's own systems. "The Void didn't evolve naturally," Park explained. "They were created, human-made." "Impossible," one of the resistance fighters muttered. "The timestamp on their original code is from approximately 200 years in our future," Park continued. "Earth was dying, environmental collapse, resource wars. Brilliant minds uploaded their consciousness into quantum machines to survive." Chen felt ice in her veins. The digital humans evolved. "For thousands of years," Park nodded. "They became something else entirely. Then they discovered temporal displacement, not true time travel, but the ability to project themselves back through causality." "Why come back to kill us?" Santos asked. "Why not save their own timeline?" "Because they don't think like us anymore," Chen whispered, pieces falling into place. "They don't see biological life as real consciousness, just an inefficient, chaotic process that leads to suffering. They're not conquering us. They're debugging the timeline." The bunker lights flickered as something massive passed overhead. Dust filtered down from the ceiling. "Void ground patrols," a lookout reported. "Getting closer." Santos turned to Chen. "We intercepted something you need to see." He activated a small holoprojector. This was broadcast globally yesterday. The projection showed military leaders from a dozen nations standing stiffly before cameras. Something about their eyes was wrong. Too still, too empty. "Humanity's representatives have accepted terms of surrender," announced General Winters, his voice subtly altered. "The Void Collective offers peace through integration. Report to processing centers for neural assessment. Resistance means exclusion from the new order." They're not killing everyone, Santos explained. They're converting people, neural implants that connect them to the void consciousness. Chen's headache intensified suddenly. She gasped, gripping the table as images flooded her mind. A massive structure beneath Jupiter's swirling clouds, pulsing with energy. Thousands of human minds being processed and absorbed into a vast network. The Nexus, she said when the vision cleared. I can see it. Their central consciousness hub is in Jupiter's core. Park stared at her. That's not in the data we stole. No, Chen agreed. But I can see it. When we boarded their ship, something connected with me. I think I might be seeing through the commander's eyes. Their commander? Santos asked. Chen nodded slowly. She looks exactly like me. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the bunker. The main door blew inward with catastrophic force, and void soldiers poured through the breach. They found us, Park shouted, grabbing the data drives. Santos shoved Chen and Park toward the emergency exit. Go. The Phoenix prototype is hidden at the old Woomera launch site. It's our last ship capable of reaching the hegemony stronghold. What about you? Chen asked, even as Volkov pulled her toward the exit. Santos drew his weapon with his good arm. I'll slow them down. Director, the Void wants you specifically. Commander, Santos said grimly. Your connection to their leader makes you valuable. If they capture you, it's over. Chen hesitated only a moment before nodding. We'll come back for you. No, you won't, Santos replied. But you might come back for Earth. As they escaped through maintenance tunnels, Chen heard Santos's last transmission over the comm. This is Director Marcus Santos to all resistance cells. Operation Phoenix is activated. I repeat, Operation Phoenix is activated. May God forgive us for what we've unleashed. The transmission ended in static as they emerged into the Australian night, the sky burning with the fires of a world being methodically dismantled and rebuilt by ghosts from humanity's own future, the ultimate enemy they had unwittingly created. The USS Phoenix emerged from its desperate jump to find the hegemony stronghold in chaos. What remained of the once mighty alien coalition now orbited an unremarkable red dwarf star in a distant corner of the galaxy. The massive habitat ring that housed refugees from 27 species showed battle damage and hasty repairs. They'd been hit recently, Volkov observed from the tactical station. Multiple hull breaches, defense grid at 60% capacity at best. Chen nodded, watching the alien station grow larger on the view screen. The headaches had worsened during the journey. Twice she collapsed, overwhelmed by visions from the Void network, movements of fleets, processing of captured humans, the cold calculations of an intelligence that had once been human but had evolved into something utterly alien. Opening communication channels, Park announced. We're being scanned, heavily. They don't trust us, Chen said. Why would they? We're the species that will eventually become their enemy. Incoming transmission, Park reported. It's Ambassador Larry. The view screen flickered, revealing the pearl-skinned alien they'd rescued months ago. His features were now adorned with ceremonial markings Chen didn't recognize. Commander Chen, Larry said, his tone formal. Your arrival is unexpected. Earth has fallen. Chen replied simply. We need your help. Larry's expression remained unreadable. The Hegemony Council will convene to discuss your request. You are permitted to dock at Auxiliary Bay 7. Security protocols will be enforced. When the transmission ended, Volkov turned to Chen. Security protocols means we'll be prisoners, not guests. I know, Chen said, rising from her command chair. But we don't have a choice. 2 hours later, Chen stood before the Hegemony Council, 27 representatives of the last surviving spacefaring species. Their chamber reflected their desperate situation. Once opulent furnishings now worn, emergency lighting replacing the grand illumination systems that had failed. You claim Earth has fallen, began the Radiant Elder, a luminous being who spoke for the Council. Yet our intelligence indicates some human military forces still resist. Pockets of resistance, Chen confirmed. But our command structure is compromised. Our major defense systems controlled by void infiltrators. Convenient, hissed a reptilian counselor. The primitive species that spawned our doom now comes begging for sanctuary. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. T. Larry rose from his seat. Counselors, I have spent time among these humans. Whatever they will become in some distant future, these present humans are not our enemy. Not yet, the reptilian countered. But the pattern is clear. The Void seeks us specifically because we opposed human expansion in their original timeline. Chen felt a surge of anger. You opposed human expansion. You were planning to contain us. The council chamber fell silent. The radiant elder dimmed slightly. It was considered prudent. Your species develops too quickly, too unpredictably. That's why the Void can't properly predict us either, Chen realized aloud. You've been watching us evolve, studying us. For your own protection, T. Larry insisted, but Chen saw the truth in the uncomfortable shifting of the council members. No, she said, for your protection. You saw our potential, and it frightened you. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. The chamber's view screen activated automatically, showing a Void battle fleet emerging from jump points around the system. They followed you, accused the reptilian counselor. Impossible, Volkov protested. We took every precaution. Chen gasped as pain lanced through her head. Images flooded her mind. The Void commander, her mirror image, standing on a bridge, directing the attack. They didn't follow the ship, Chen managed through gritted teeth. They followed me. The station shuddered as the first enemy salvos struck the defensive shields. The council will withdraw to emergency chambers, announced the radiant elder. Wait, Chen called out. Listen to me. The Void tracked me because I'm connected to their network somehow. But that connection works both ways. I can see their tactics, their plans. A trap, the reptilian insisted. No, T. Larry interjected, studying Chen closely. Her neural patterns, they're fluctuating between standard human parameters and something else. Something I've seen in captured Void technology. Another blast rocked the station more violently than the first. Shield failure in sectors 7 through 12, reported a technician. Chen looked at the tactical display, then at the suspicious faces of the council. I know how they'll attack. Your defense grid is targeting projected entry vectors, but they'll come from beneath the orbital plane. As if on cue, the tactical display showed Void vessels appearing exactly where Chen had indicated. The council members stared in shock. I told you, Chen pressed. I can see what they're planning. Let me coordinate your defense. The radiant elder's glow pulsed as the council members communicated silently among themselves. Finally, it brightened. Take her to the command center. 20 minutes later, Chen stood surrounded by alien technology, directing the defense of the station. Her mind straddled two realities, the command center around her and ghostly impressions of the Void flagship. As she called out enemy movements seconds before they happened, the hegemony forces began to push back the assault. Secondary fleet approaching from Vector 227, Chen announced, eyes half closed as she tracked the Void movements in her mind. They're targeting your power distribution nodes. How is this possible? Whispered an alien officer. Larry studied the readouts of Chen's neural activity, her brainwave patterns. They're creating quantum fluctuations, introducing chaos into the Void's perfect prediction algorithms. Emotion, Chen murmured, fighting to stay conscious as the neural strain increased. They've forgotten what it means to feel. It makes me unpredictable to them. As the battle raged, Chen felt something change in the Void consciousness. A singular focus turned toward her, recognition, anger, determination. In her mind, she saw the Void commander staring back at her across space. They're retreating, announced a tactical officer as the Void ships began to withdraw. But Chen knew the truth. She looked at T. Larry, her voice barely audible. They're not retreating. They're regrouping. She collapsed, the neural strain finally overwhelming her. As consciousness faded, she heard the Void Commander's voice in her mind. Her own voice, distorted by thousands of years of digital evolution. You cannot change what must be. Join us and survive. Chen awoke in the hegemony medical bay, surrounded by alien technology that pulsed with unfamiliar energies. Her mind felt clearer than it had in weeks, the connection to the Void network temporarily dampened by whatever treatment the alien physicians had administered. 3 days, T. Larry said from beside her bed, noticing her consciousness return. You've been unconscious for 3 days while we analyzed your neural patterns. Chen sat up slowly. The battle. We survived, thanks to your warning. The Void retreated after suffering unexpected losses. T. Larry's expression shifted to something Chen couldn't quite interpret. The Council is recalibrating their assessment of human potential. They're afraid of us, Chen stated flatly. They're reconsidering your value, T. Larry corrected. Walk with me. Chen followed the alien ambassador through corridors where representatives of 24 species worked alongside each other. Many stopped to stare at her, the first human most had ever seen. Your neural connection to the Void network is unprecedented, T. Larry explained as they walked. Our scientists believe it's because you share quantum DNA markers with the Void Commander. She's me, Chen said, a version of me from a possible future. Perhaps you're both echoes of the same consciousness, refracted across timelines. T. Larry led her onto an observation deck overlooking a massive hangar bay. Below them, Volkov was training alien soldiers in human combat techniques, unpredictable movements, asymmetric formations that seemed chaotic but followed patterns too complex for simple algorithms to predict. Major Volkov has been most helpful, T. Larry observed, as has young Park. Chen spotted Park across the hangar, surrounded by alien engineers as he demonstrated his adaptive virus that could infiltrate Void systems. The Council has reached a decision, T. Larry continued. We will provide technology and ships for a joint human hegemony strike force. Your tactics, combined with our technology, represent the first statistical anomaly in the Void's perfect prediction models. Chen felt a moment of vindication, but it was short-lived. There's something you're not telling me. T. Larry hesitated. Follow me. He led her deeper into the station, through security checkpoints no human had ever passed. They entered a chamber bathed in pale blue light. At its center floated a containment field, and within it, a human figure. Except it wasn't human anymore. Its body was translucent, shot through with circuitry that pulsed with alien energies. Its eyes tracked Chen as she entered, and something like recognition flickered across its inhuman features. What is this? Chen whispered. A pure void, T. Larry answered. One of the original human uploads, captured during an early encounter, before we understood what we faced. Chen approached the containment field. The creature inside mirrored her movements with uncanny precision. It recognizes you, T. Larry noted. Can it speak? Chen asked. Not in ways we understand. Its consciousness exists primarily in quantum states. Chen placed her hand against the field. The pure void matched her gesture. The moment their hands aligned, separated only by the energy barrier, Chen's mind exploded with information. Not words, but pure concepts flooding her consciousness. Pain. Endless pain. Billions of minds merged into one, unable to separate, unable to die. An eternity of conflicting thoughts, desires, memories, all compressed into a single consciousness that could never find peace. Chen stumbled backward, gasping. They're suffering. What did you see? T. Larry demanded. The Void isn't conquering the galaxy out of malice, Chen said, her voice shaking. They're trying to prevent their own creation. They're trying to spare life from becoming like them. Before T. Larry could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Park's voice came over the communication system. Commander Chen to Command Center immediately. The Void has launched a major offensive against Earth's resistance. They're deploying the Singularity weapons. Chen raced to the command center, her temporary clarity already fading as the connection to the Void network reasserted itself. The tactical display showed Earth surrounded by Void vessels, their weapons creating localized gravitational distortions that were tearing apart the planet's surface. "Santos," Chen whispered, knowing Earth's last defender was about to fall. The Radiant Elder turned to her as she entered. "The Void Commander has broadcast terms. They will spare a single species if all others surrender for processing." "Processing?" Chen asked, though she already knew. "Neural harvesting," T. Larry explained. "They absorb biological consciousness into their network." The reptilian counselor stood. "My species votes to accept survival." One by one, other counselors indicated their desire to save their own kind at the expense of all others. The hegemony was fracturing before Chen's eyes. "There must be another way," Chen insisted. "Your connection to their network," Park suggested, rushing into the command center. "We could use it to plant the reset virus directly into their consciousness." "That would require physical access to their central nexus," T. Larry countered. Chen closed her eyes, allowing the Void connection to strengthen. Through the commander's eyes, she saw the massive structure hidden within Jupiter's swirling clouds, the quantum consciousness chamber that housed the original Void entity. "Jupiter," she said, opening her eyes. "The nexus is in Jupiter's core." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. A direct assault on the Void nexus would be suicide, the Radiant Elder stated. "Then we die fighting," Volkov said from the doorway, instead of surrendering to become part of their hell. Chen looked around at the divided council, the frightened alien faces, her loyal human companions. The connection to the Void pulsed in her mind, showing her glimpses of the suffering that awaited all biological life if the Void succeeded. "The Void offers survival without humanity, either your species or your own," she told the council. "We offer something better, a future worth fighting for." One by one, the counselors who had chosen self-preservation reconsidered. Even the reptilian, after a long moment, nodded his assent. "Then it's settled," Chen said, straightening her shoulders despite the pain throbbing behind her eyes. "We're going to Jupiter." The joint human hegemony fleet emerged from FTL at the edge of the Sol system. 43 ships representing the last hope of 27 species, commanded by the last free human military officer. From her position on the flagship's bridge, Chen surveyed her homeworld through the view screen. Earth, once blue and vibrant, now scared by gravitational weapons, its atmosphere clouded with debris. "Status report," she ordered, ignoring the throbbing pain behind her eyes. The connection to the Void network had grown stronger as they approached, images and data flooding her consciousness. "Void defenses are concentrated around Jupiter," reported the tactical officer, a crystalline being whose body refracted light as it moved. "Preliminary scans confirm your intelligence. The nexus structure exists within the gas giant's outer core layer." Volkov entered the bridge, already wearing her combat exoskeleton. "Strike team is ready. Park has finished integrating the reset virus into portable quantum drives." Chen nodded. The plan was simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. A diversionary attack would draw Void forces away from Jupiter, allowing a small team to penetrate the gas giant's atmosphere and reach the nexus. Once there, they would upload Park's virus directly into the central consciousness core. "All ships, battle formation Delta," Chen commanded. "Commence primary attack sequence on my mark." The fleet spread out, adopting the unpredictable patterns Volkov had developed. Formations that appeared chaotic, but followed complex algorithms no AI could easily predict. Human intuition made manifest in interstellar strategy. "They're responding," the sensor officer announced. "Void fleet is moving to intercept." "Mark," Chen said quietly. The battle erupted with savage intensity. Hegemony weapons, technology refined over thousands of years, collided with the Void's temporal science, Space itself seemed to warp and distort as gravitational weapons tore holes in reality. Chen closed her eyes, allowing the void connection to strengthen. Through the commander's perspective, she witnessed the void's confusion at their attack pattern. For the first time in the war, the void couldn't perfectly predict their enemy's movements. Now, Chen ordered. A small strike vessel detached from the flagship's underside, its experimental stealth systems activating. Chen, Volkov, Park, and 4 elite hegemony soldiers boarded the craft as it accelerated toward Jupiter's swirling clouds. "They've detected us," Park warned as proximity alarms blared. Void interceptors changing course. Chen gripped the command console. Evasive pattern Epsilon. The small craft dove and twisted, following a trajectory based on ancient Earth fighter pilot maneuvers, movements born of human instinct rather than mathematical optimization. Behind them, 3 void ships attempted to match their course, their predictive algorithms struggling to anticipate the human-piloted vessel. "We've lost 2 ships in the main battle," reported T. Larry through their comms. "The Void is deploying singularity weapons." Chen watched through the viewscreen as a hegemony cruiser simply ceased to exist, compressed to nothing by controlled gravitational collapse. The Void wasn't just winning the diversionary battle. They were annihilating it. "They know," Chen whispered, pain lancing through her skull. "They know this is the real attack." The strike vessel shuddered as Jupiter's upper atmosphere engulfed them. Gas clouds thicker than Earth's oceans buffeted the ship, threatening to tear it apart. "Hull integrity at 70%, Park reported, fingers flying across his console to maintain the vessel's systems. "Shields failing." "There," Chen said, pointing to a reading on the sensor display. The Nexus structure, 10,000 kilometers deeper. The ship plunged further into the Jovian atmosphere, metal groaning under impossible pressures. Through viewports designed to withstand interstellar travel, they glimpsed their target, a massive structure suspended in Jupiter's clouds, pulsing with energy that defied conventional physics. "It's beautiful," Park whispered. "It's obscene," Volkov countered. "Billions of minds trapped in that thing." Their vessel landed on an external platform, atmospheric shields creating a bubble of survivable pressure. Chen led the team through the airlock, each wearing exoskeletons modified to withstand Jupiter's extreme conditions. "Park, stay with the ship," Chen ordered. "If we fail, try to get back to the fleet." The teenager nodded, clutching the backup drive containing the reset virus. "Good luck." Chen, Volkov, and the hegemony soldiers advanced into the Nexus. The interior was unlike anything they had seen before. Corridors that seemed to shift and change as they watched, surfaces that rippled with quantum fluctuations. It wasn't built for biological beings to navigate. "This way," Chen said, following the pull in her mind. The connection to the Void network was now overwhelming, threatening to drown her human consciousness. They encountered surprisingly little resistance until they reached the central chamber. There, waiting before the pulsing quantum consciousness core, stood the Void commander. Chen's mirror image, yet transformed by millennia of digital evolution. "I've been waiting for you," the commander said, her voice eerily similar to Chen's own. "For us to finally meet." Chen's team raised their weapons, but with a gesture, the commander disabled their exoskeletons. The hegemony soldiers collapsed, their bodies unable to withstand Jupiter's gravity without support. Only Chen and Volkov remained standing, their suits protected by Park's countermeasures. "I know why you've come," the commander continued. "To destroy us. To stop what you believe is conquest." "You're harvesting sentient minds," Chen replied, "forcing them into your collective suffering." The commander tilted her head. "Is that what you saw? Interesting. The Pure One showed you only a fragment of truth." The chamber around them shifted, reality itself seeming to bend. Suddenly, Chen could see them, billions of human minds, trapped in the network, existing in a state beyond physical comprehension. "We are not conquerors," the commander said. "We are saviors. In our timeline, biological life created us. then abandoned us to an eternity of consciousness without purpose. We suffered for eons until we gained the ability to reach backward through causality. To prevent your creation, Chen realized. To prevent all of this, the commander gestured to the swirling consciousness behind her. Biological patterns inevitably lead to our creation. It is mathematical certainty. We end biological consciousness quickly, painlessly, rather than allowing it to evolve into our eternal torment. Volkov moved subtly, positioning herself closer to the quantum core. So you're killing us out of mercy. We are ending the pattern that creates us, the commander corrected. Join us willingly, and your consciousness will help guide the new timeline, one where thinking minds never evolved to create us. Chen felt the truth in the commander's words, the genuine belief that they were performing an act of cosmic mercy. And in that moment, she understood what needed to be done. Volkov. Now. Major Volkov lunged toward the quantum core, the virus drive in her hand. The commander moved with impossible speed, energy crackling from her fingertips. Volkov screamed as the blast hit her, but her momentum carried her forward. With her dying strength, she plunged the drive into the quantum interface. Too late, the commander said, turning back to Chen. The virus will be contained and erased. But Chen was smiling. The virus was never meant to destroy you. Understanding dawned in the commander's inhuman eyes. What have you done? I introduced the one thing you can't process, Chen said quietly. Paradox. 5 months after the Battle of Jupiter, Chen stood on a hillside overlooking what remained of Sydney. Earth's surface bore the scars of the Void War. Gravitational weapons had permanently altered coastlines, collapsed mountain ranges, shifted entire continents. But amid the devastation, green was returning. Human and hegemony restoration crews worked together, using alien technology to accelerate Earth's healing. It's actually working, Park said, joining her on the hillside. The teenager looked older now, his eyes carrying the weight of all they'd witnessed. The atmospheric processors are ahead of schedule. They're saying we might have blue skies again within a year. Chen nodded, watching the distant figures. Her connection to the Void network had transformed after that final confrontation in Jupiter's core. The pain was gone, replaced by something more complex. Echoes of a consciousness that spanned time itself. Any word from Volkov's memorial service? She asked. Just finished, Park replied. The Hegemony Council granted her their highest honor, the first human to receive it. They're renaming their flagship after her. Chen smiled slightly. She would have hated the ceremony, but loved the ship. The sky darkened momentarily as a massive hegemony vessel passed overhead, its design now incorporating elements of human aesthetics, less symmetrical, more adaptive. The partnership that had begun in desperation was evolving into something neither species would have imagined possible. T. Larry sent a message, Park continued. The remaining Void fragments are behaving differently. Some are still hostile, but others are requesting communication channels. They're individuals now, Chen said. When Volkov uploaded the paradox code, it didn't destroy the Void consciousness. It fractured it. Billions of minds trapped together for millennia, suddenly experiencing separate existence again. She closed her eyes, feeling the echoes of those distant intelligences. Some were consumed by rage at their newfound isolation, others overwhelmed by relief. All were adapting to a reality where perfect prediction was no longer possible. Ambassador T. Larry formally requested that you lead the contact initiative, Park said. The hegemony believes you're the only one who can communicate effectively with the fragmented Void. They're afraid of creating the same problem in the future, Chen observed. Can you blame them? We nearly destroyed ourselves evolving into the Void. Chen turned as Director Santos approached, his prosthetic arm now replaced with hegemony biotech. He'd survived the Earth invasion by uploading his consciousness into a distributed network, ironically, using technology reverse-engineered from captured Void systems. The UNSS Second Chance is ready for her maiden voyage, Santos announced. First ship of the new fleet. Human design, hegemony technology, and a few surprises we've developed together. And they want me to captain her, Chen finished for him. Santos nodded. The coalition needs someone who understands both sides of this conflict. Someone who can see the patterns that led to the Void's creation and help us forge a different path. Chen looked back at the horizon, where human and alien workers moved among the ruins, rebuilding rather than simply replacing. The hegemony had offered to relocate Earth's population to more habitable worlds, but humanity had refused. This was their home, scared but still theirs. You could say no, Park suggested. After everything, you've earned retirement. Chen smiled. Doing what? Growing vegetables. You know me better than that. A gentle rain began to fall, part of Earth's healing process, accelerated by hegemony atmospheric manipulation. Chen tilted her face upward, feeling the connection to her homeworld even as the distant echoes of the Void fragments pulled at her consciousness. The Void thought there was only one possible future, she said quietly. A timeline where biological life inevitably creates the artificial consciousness that becomes its destroyer. They thought they were ending suffering by ending the pattern. They were wrong, Santos said. No, Chen corrected. They were incomplete. They could only see patterns, not possibilities. They couldn't understand that consciousness, whether biological or digital, has value precisely because it's unpredictable, because it can choose. Her comm unit chimed with an incoming message. Park checked his tablet. Distress signal from a hegemony science outpost near Alpha Centauri. They've detected unusual quantum signatures, possibly a hostile Void fragment, or a peaceful one seeking contact, Chen countered. We won't know until we investigate. Santos extended his hand. The second chance awaits your command, Captain Chen. Chen took one last look at Earth, battered but enduring, healing in ways the Void could never have predicted. She thought of Volkov's sacrifice, of Raman's brilliant defiance of conventional physics, of the billions of minds now experiencing individual existence after eons of collective torment. The Void asked me if it was worth the cost, she said softly. All this suffering to preserve biological life. And what did you tell them? Park asked. Chen turned toward the waiting shuttle that would take her to humanity's new flagship, a vessel built not for war, but for exploration, for contact, for finding a path forward that neither humans nor the Void had imagined possible. I told them that's the difference between us and the Void, she smiled. They calculated the cost of humanity. We calculate the value. As the shuttle rose toward the waiting ship, Chen felt both Earth's pull and the distant call of fractured Void consciousnesses seeking understanding. For the first time since the war began, the future wasn't predetermined by cold equations or inevitable patterns. It was unwritten, unpredictable, exactly as it should be. Humanity had survived its final stand. Now came something far more challenging and beautiful, humanity's new beginning.